In today's video, we're going to check out the yearly spending, kind of see how things went, and see where stuff got a little bit ridiculous. The good thing about using a credit card for the majority of your purchases, it takes the responsibility of having to allocate everything to see where you spent money at the end of the year out of the equation because it does that on its own. Now, it is some problems because in certain categories you may have money allocated for a vacation, but if you eat at a restaurant on that vacation, that happens to go in the food and dining budget. Before we dive in, this weekend I'm going to do a live. It's going to be interesting. I'm going to have a guest. It's going to be an interesting topic, ladies. I don't want y'all to get mad at me at some of my point of views, but we're going to talk a little bit about gender roles. We're going to talk about investing, finance related to relationships. We're going to talk about, do gender roles still apply? We're going to talk about how come women don't like to give blue collar brothers a shot out there. I know I was a blue collar brother for a long time, but we're going to talk about all those topics. So I'm going to do some promo. I'll put the dates up in the community page. Y'all definitely tune in. It's going to be a fun conversation. First category that we're going to take a look at is automotives. Automotives is interesting because if you look at the automotives category that we got up on the screen, you see for the year we spent $6,421. So that's probably higher than normal. The interesting thing about that, we could actually save a lot of money in that category because one of the main expenses that we had was, I don't know if y'all remember sometime last year, but it was a $4,500 repair that I got done to the wife's vehicle because the whole electronic system in her dash went out. The car was working absolutely perfect and fine, but that whole electronic system, monitor and everything needed to be replaced. I don't know. I don't see the point of having a car riding around with no radio humming every song you know. So I had an opportunity to get that replaced. We got that replaced. That was $4,500. Another $500 was related to a deductible with regard to an automobile collision. So, I mean, think about it, $6,400, but $5,000 of that is something that we probably wouldn't have typically. So, I mean, just with regard to the automotive costs, we actually came out on the good side. The second category we're going to take a look at is bills and utility. In that category, we spent about $11,682. Now, this category is interesting. It's made up of what is called building utilities. Bills and utilities, cell phone, water, electricity. We pay most of our bills, as many as we can, with our credit card to get the cash back reward. The only real expense that I seen outlined in this that was kind of something that was a one-off were fees that I paid related to parking tickets, fees that I paid related to registering firearms. Those fees ran about $500. So in theory, we got about $500 that we should be able to save there because those aren't normal costs. I don't know. The speeding ticket's kind of normal, but the other things aren't really normal costs that pop up every year. So the next category that we're going to take a look at is the entertainment category. In entertainment, we spent $9,050. The entertainment is a high category. I'll tell you, entertainment is comprised of mostly the kids' extracurricular activities. It has stuff in there like movies and those type of things. Now, keep in mind on our actual monthly budget, the movie may be in another category. We may take money from the dining out budget and use it to go to the movies. But for purposes of this, it falls in the entertainment category, $9,050. And the majority of the expenses related to the entertainment category, which is crazy, is really for my children's extracurricular activities. That was $6,500. They do a lot of stuff after school. They travel. They do competitions. They do a lot of stuff that isn't cheap, even if you're fundraising. So those costs just are what they are. Hopefully the kids appreciate all of this money we paying so they can do things that they enjoy. We're going to skip this category because this category is kind of ridiculous. So we're going to skip this category. Alright, the next category that we're going to take a look at is the gas category. For the year, we spent $4,400. The only real note that I have in here with relate to the gas category is, and I don't think that was really that bad because that includes trips that we taken, road trips when I went down south a few times to visit my father when we drive to do things with the kids that may be some distance away. So all in all, that was about on point with kind of what we have allocated for gas and fuel. So that really wasn't too bad. The next category that we're going to go to that we were able to use on a credit card is gift and donations. Now, again, this is only the things that we can put on a credit card, so not all utilities, not all expenses. Sometimes the categories are out of whack. But for gifts and donations, this year we spent $5,389 on our credit card for gifts and donations. A lot of those were, sometimes we make credit card donations to charity. I know at the end of the year in December I try to make a donation to my law school, so we try to get some of those donations out of the way for the ones that we can do by credit card. It's always good to donate with a credit card when you can, if you can get some cash back for it. Okay, the next category up is groceries. For the year in 2021, we spent $6,392 on groceries. Now I know what y'all thinking. Damn, $6,000? That's kind of cheap. That's kind of low. Yeah, it is kind of low. Remember, these numbers are slightly skewed because it only allocates purchases from grocery stores, which is strange. So if we go somewhere like Costco, Target, Walmart, it doesn't put those purchases necessarily in groceries, even though we may have bought, you may have went to Costco's and bought 6,000 pounds of chicken breast or something like that. But for some reason, that gets put in a separate category. But for purposes of this cost, $6,000 was spent on groceries. Next, we're going to take a look at health and wellness. In this category, we spent $4,450. The vast majority of that were medical costs, and deductibles we had to pay for, certain medications. I don't know if y'all remember, it was a run where like everybody's teeth was jacked up and we was just going to the dentist. It seemed like every other month, and that bill was just killing the budget. So most of that came out of those medical expenses. Health and wellness, they got like spa, something like that, but that was like things we did on vacation. The next category that we're going to take a look at is home. And in our home budget, we spent $5,329. In home, I think we actually did relatively well too. With the home budget, $4,000 of that was allocated to a washer and dryer that we purchased. We got a new faucet and sink in the kitchen, and we had to spend like $1,100 or $1,200 at some point for an AC repair. So home was good. We weren't buying like Picassos or nothing like that, so that worked out relatively well. The next category is personal spending. That's allocated at $3,241. The vast majority of personal expenses relate around investments. Sometimes we have our investments. There's certain investments out there, particularly crypto and other things, that you can use your card to make the purchase on. So in those instances, I use the card to make the purchase just because there's a cash back. So that accounts for the majority of personal expenses. Professional services is the next category. We're looking at about $3,000. In that particular category, our tax professional, costs associated with YouTube, TubeBuddy, all those other softwares, and particular subscriptions that we may use like Adobe and those type of things were wrapped up in that category. Alright, the next category that we have is $24,000 in shopping. Now I know that sounds crazy, but the vast majority of the shopping budget that we have are purchases from Walmart, Costco, Target. A lot of that stuff fell into other categories within our budget, such as groceries, or it may have been something that was an automotive repair. It could have been something that we just made as a purchase for Christmas from one of those particular places, Amazon or Walmart or Target, but essentially they allocate all of those into one category. So we have $24,000 with regard to actual purchases, shopping. And let's put it into context. The groceries was $6,000, but we allocate $1,000 a month for groceries. So you can see that a lot of funds that were in other areas in our budget are just automatically thrown into this shopping category. So I don't want y'all to think I was out there just buying a bunch of new fits and shoes and stuff. Okay, the next category that we have is travel. The travel budget is $11,000. the trip that I made to FinCon, the trip we took to Maui, any trip, the trip where I went to South Carolina, some of those purchases were included in that particular travel category. So those really are kind of how the breakdowns went on. I'll tell you, it was two areas where I noticed that I could just like do better in. One was automotives. Remember, automotives was $6,000 for the year, but about 4,500 of that was for one repair that was really a non-essential repair. I just wanted to make sure the wifey whip was good to go so she can enjoy it. Now the next category that we're going to talk about is one that we saved for actual last because it was the most ridiculous. Like I said, automotives, I could save about 5 stacks there because that was just a one-off repair that probably won't happen again no time soon. Food and drink. Alright, in this category, we spent $13,000 for the entire calendar year. I know, we're not spending $1,000 a month on food and drink. I kind of had to break down this category and actually go in and take a look to see how things went. Okay, all in all, I guess in the food and drinks category, our budget is about $550 a month. Sounds like a lot, but it's a small percentage of our overall income for the month. So with that $550, we talking about probably 300 of that, 350 of that is mainly used on the kids because a lot of times they just have so many activities. We're gone at 2 separate places. By the time we get back, it's 8:30, 9 o'clock. Ain't nobody getting in there and cooking. I mean, yeah, meal prep we do it sometime, but I mean, you're talking about kids being gone doing stuff 3, 4, 5 times during the week with school. They got to get home, do homework, then dart out to be somewhere. Shit get kind of crazy. So I always know that budget, when we talk about eating out, can get a little bit ridiculous because we just be on the scramble, all right? So we're talking $550 a month. Let's just say $6,500 a year. But this is $13,000. Well, another vast majority of it accounted for when we went on vacation. When we went on vacation before we went to Maui, we were in Los Angeles for some time. So that involved a lot of eating out. So all of that money that we actually had allocated for that vacation is thrown up in here. When we were in Maui, a dozen eggs was like $10.99. It was crazy. And the food at the restaurant was expensive and not even that good. Those costs are allocated in here. So once I kind of did the math and separated everything out, we did go over in the budget category, but this $13,000 that you see up here isn't the true genuine number. Where we went over was probably about $1,800 to $2,200 for the course of the year. And I know a lot of that is on me because if I go out to a restaurant, I'm going to go someplace I like. That's just what it is. I don't eat fast food like that. The kids eat it. Me and my wife don't eat it. And the other thing is I like to treat when it comes to meals, all right? If I meet you for the first time, like if I meet one of my YouTube friends for the first time and we go like, oh man, let's go, and we sit down and eat, I'm probably going to go ahead and pay for the meal. So I could think of a couple of instances where a homegirl and her husband of mine, I haven't seen them in years, we went out and we went to a nice restaurant and I was like, oh no, don't worry about it, I got it, I take care of the bill. And that bill wasn't cheap. That bill, I ain't going to say what the price was, but it was 4 people eating at a really nice restaurant. The bill wasn't cheap, but you know, I was like, oh man, this is my folks. I knew them since, high school days, back when I had braids and long hair and the whole nine. So, that was just one of those things. Hey, if I see you at FinCon and I rock with you and we sit down and eat, the first meal or the first drink is probably going to be on me. That's just kind of how I am. It's one is part of my personality. 2 is also a lawyer thing. A lot of attorneys are always like, come on, let's go ahead and go out and sit down and eat and talk about stuff. So I think I kind of spill that over into my regular life. So the 2 areas where I know we could see some cuts are definitely in the dining out category. We could probably save about 2 bands there. And also in the automotive category, we could save about $45,000 to $5,000 in that particular category. I just wanted to point out to you all the categories as they are allocated on my credit card statement. So let's take a look at the total that we spent on the credit card in calendar year 2021. The total that we were able to spend on this credit card was $106,228. So about 5%, well, 6% of that was allocated to automotives, 10.8% to bills and utilities, 8.3% to entertainment, 12% to food and drink, 4% to gas, 5% to gifts, 6% to groceries, 4% to health and wellness, 5% to home, 3% to personal, 3% to professional services, 22% for shopping, and 10% for travel. Remember, this doesn't have the mortgages and all those other things that we can't pay with our credit card. This is just how the credit card payments were allocated. 98% of this fell somewhere within that budget. Just the categories within that budget are different from how it's allocated on the credit card. So I don't want y'all to think I'm out there bojangling and making stuff up and faking. It's just allocated different from how we have it in our budget. You know, the budget may say this is money for a birthday, but if we go out for my son's birthday, that may fall in the food or dining out category or the entertainment category, depending on the restaurant and how it gets classified. So that's it. I just wanted to give y'all a quick snapshot. $106,000 spent on the credit card this year. Y'all take care. Have a good one. Be blessed. Peace. If you're still tuned into this video, check out the videos on the screen for more videos related to financial freedom journey and learning and talking about finances.